I think the Detroit Red Wings are the best trade partner for the San Jose Sharks if they want to move on from Erik Karlsson, and Carlson and his camp have recently determined that it would be best if he were to move on and have a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup because, of course, he's got 4 more years left on his deal, and at 33 years old, he only has so many good seasons left, and of course, he's coming off of an amazing season in which he put up 24 goals and 101 points, the first time that's been done in 31 years. I like this deal for the Red Wings for quite a few reasons. First of all, they could use that right-handed shot on defense. Of course, they have Moritz Seider, but in terms of getting that amazing power play quarterback and having somebody who can skate like Carlson does to help with transition offense and that sort of thing, hey, I think that would be fantastic to kind of complement the skill set of somebody like Seider and Edvinsson and the rest of the defensive core. So you got that. Second of all, the Detroit Red Wings, I know that they're not a contender just yet, but by adding Carlson, they could be a favorite to make the playoffs, as tough as that division's going to get. And they have lots of cap space and assets, but we'll focus on the cap space here. About $30 million. They haven't been signing any of their UFAs so far in the offseason, so it looks like they're going to have plenty of space available to bring in a very talented defenseman, even if they don't want to pay his entire $11.5 million salary in each of the next 4 years. So let's talk about the contract. Again, it's for 4 years at $11.5 million per. That's very expensive. Somebody like Cale Makar isn't even making $10 million. So Carlson does come at a premium. He does have an injury history. He is getting older as well. So that is certainly a drawback. And let's not forget that he has a no-move clause. So if he's not able to replicate his performance from this past season or anything near it, the Red Wings wouldn't want to have buyer's remorse because then it would be harder to move his contract somewhere else. So you have to factor all those things in mind. With that being said, the Sharks, it's pretty much inevitable. They're going to have to eat some of this salary themselves. Now, they already did that last year when they traded away Brent Burns to the Carolina Hurricanes. They're going to be paying $2.72 million of Burns' $8 million salary for the next 2 years. That's a pretty good chunk of change. And in the case of Carlson, what you could see here is kind of a benchmark when it comes to retaining salary over that amount of term over 4 years. That's not very typical, and especially at the price point that the Sharks might have to consume themselves. Given all the factors with Carlson that I've already talked about, the Sharks could be looking at eating, $2.5 to maybe $4 million in salary. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. That way the Red Wings aren't paying more than $7.5 or $8 million as elite as Carlson is. We can only expect that he's going to at least regress a little bit next year, especially if he's going to a new franchise and learning a new system. Now, the Sharks have about $14 million in cap space, but they don't have any major contracts due in the offseason, so they do have some room to play with, even for that amount of term, considering they're a rebuilding team for the next few seasons. So you couple Carlson with Burns, and you'd be looking at about $6 to maybe $7 million in retained salary for the next 2 seasons, and then 2 more years for Carlson beyond that. But that's completely legal by the NHL's cap policy. So you can have about $12.5 million in retained salary for up to 3 players for this upcoming season, with the salary cap at $83.5 million. And in terms of sending assets back to the San Jose Sharks, the Red Wings have all sorts of flexibility here, right? So first of all, look at their draft picks. They have 2 first-rounders this year. They have 3 second-rounders. Those are all in succession, 41, 42, and 43. They've got 2 first-rounders the next year. They've got their first and they've got their seconds for the next couple of years. So they're in great shape from that standpoint. And the Red Wings already have a great prospect pool, and the Sharks could really benefit from just about anybody that Detroit is willing to part ways with, because San Jose is still building their prospect pool. They still need that top-end talent. Certainly the draft is going to help them in the next couple of weeks, but even so, they could use more depth at wing. They could use more depth at left or right defense. I don't see Kosa being traded away to the Sharks for Erik Karlsson specifically, but we do need a franchise goaltender as well. Now, the media is talking about some other teams that could make a run at Erik Karlsson. However, they are more cap strapped, at least most of them are. We've talked about the Oilers on this channel before, and that was really before Evan Bouchard had that great second half and was able to carry that forward into the playoffs. So I can't see the Oilers necessarily moving on from Bouchard to get Carlson, especially since Bouchard is only going to get better, I would think, and plays a similar role. The media is also talking about the Florida Panthers. However, they're a little bit tight with their salary cap situation, and in terms of assets going back to the Sharks, their prospect pool isn't all that deep, and they don't have a first-round pick for the next 3 years. So personally, I don't see that happening unless this was some sort of wacky 3-way team trade. Then there's the Dallas Stars. Now, we've been talking about the possibility of buying out Ryan Suter's contract to help with that. They do have some other UFAs kind of further down the depth chart that they might want to consider signing. So it would be a little bit difficult to make things work with Carlson, but that would give them a great right-handed shot on defense. Although the Stars, they might not necessarily want to pursue that direction and just get a little bit better in terms of overall play in the defensive zone. The Athletic also mentioned the Carolina Hurricanes, and as a Hurricanes supporter myself, I don't see that happening because we already saw how Burns and Carlson worked together or on the same team. It just didn't work out for the Sharks at all. I don't think that that's how they should be allocating their cap. Should have been Timo Meier. I thought he would have been a good fit there, especially given the injuries they had. And some people still might bring up the Ottawa Senators, but after the Jacob Chychrun acquisition for the next couple of seasons, Ottawa's pretty set on their top 4 defense, so I don't really see that happening as well. Anyway, Twisters, let me know your thoughts. Which teams out there do you think had the best chance at landing Erik Karlsson? I've talked about Alex DeBrincat with the Predators a little bit. I don't think that they're necessarily trying to get another offensive defenseman, but kind of like the Red Wings, they have the cap space and they have some flexibility with their draft picks as well. So I wanted to quickly bring that up toward the end here. But let me know who you think the best trade partner is, and would that be a good fit for Erik Karlsson? Stick around for more coverage throughout the 2023 offseason, for the draft, for trades, and for free agency, of course. And let me know in the comments down below if you have any ideas for future videos like this. Leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you around for more coverage of the NHL here in the offseason. Ciao.